My name is Dan Schaefer, and I have been blessed with being able to get some very, very good training techniques in my background from some friends of mine. They are Olympians, they are European training techniques, and what I wanted to do today was to just speak to a couple of the people that I've worked with in order to let you out there know that what I do is somewhat unknown, somewhat groundbreaking, and that it allows an athlete to attain their very best in a very, very short time. What we'd like to do today is to speak to some of the participants that have been through my program. Logan, do you remember the first day or so that you came in and we were talking about whether or not this would be a good program for you?
Yeah, I came in here looking to get faster, and I remember the conversation I had with my dad. I go, Dad, I just don't believe that Dan can get me any faster. I was running a 6'9", average 60. My best was 6'8", and I just remember talking to him. I'm like, I'm already in pretty good shape. I don't think there's anything that he can do that can get me to the next level.
You remember the stretching that we had when you first came in, and I asked you to go ahead and stretch.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you stretched to in terms of bending over?
Yeah, he told me to touch my toes, and I've never been very flexible, and I remember I barely made it past my shins. Not if I made it past my shins.
Can you give us an idea as to what you were able to do before the program and what you were able to do after?
Before, I could barely touch my shins, and then after I could put my palms on the ground.
Speed-wise, can you tell us where you were, as you mentioned, for your 60?
Like I said before, my best 60 was a 6'8", average was 6'9", and I remember one day, it was probably one of our last days, where I was at that 6'5", 60, and I was trying to break that to that 6'4", and I remember you said I wouldn't have to do the hard stuff if I could get that 6'4", 60, and I remember I ran it 3 times. The first 2 I got 6'5", and the last one I did, I got a 6'4", 7.
Can you tell me a little bit about the endurance training that we had in terms of how good you thought you were in terms of endurance, and then what happened afterwards?
I came in here thinking I was in pretty good shape, and the first day you told me that I wasn't going to get through the whole thing, and I kind of looked at you, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be fine, don't worry about it. And I remember there's 5 sets of what we do. I got through 2 sets and I couldn't breathe, and it took me way too long to come down, and we just called it right then and said come back in a day and we'll see how far you can get.
Now let's skip to the last session when you were in shape, when you had your cardio endurance, when you had your speed.
There's 5 sets. Each set you kind of do, well, the last couple of sets you kind of do at 80%, and I remember on the last set I always try to push myself running either the last 2 or the last 3 at 100%, and I could get that feeling pretty good about myself.
You have always been interested in long tosses, and if you could mention a little bit about not the actual training as to what we did, but what you went through in terms of doing the training, and then how that increased your arm strength and distance.
Yeah, we came in here and I was working with you on the arm strength. You gave me this unique trick to get my arm stronger, and I remember one time I was actually playing a summer ball game, and this was when I told you I first started realizing it. I was playing left field, the ball was hit down the line, and I remember I kind of like took a lazy route to it, and I just got the ball on the line, and I just threw from off my back foot on the second, and I remember like right when I threw it I was like, wow, like where did that come from? In fact, like everybody was telling me that's an easy double, and I remember the guy running to second saw my ball coming in and stopped halfway going to second and went back to first because he knew he was going to make it. And that's when I remember I came back to you and I was like, holy crap, my arm has gotten a lot stronger.
In terms of quickness and speed, I know that you've mentioned to me that you're faster in the 60 than you've ever been. Could you mention what that means to you in terms of getting on base, stealing bases, and getting to the ball faster than you've done before?
For the outfield, getting back, trying to get to the ball quicker and everything, I remember the same game. I remember coming back to you just how everything was finally coming together, where I was getting to balls that I usually don't get to. Stealing bases was pretty tough for me, and I remember after our 10 sessions that stealing bases kind of came pretty easy to me.
When you're talking about the impact of what this means to you and your goals in terms of baseball, what is the impact of previously running 6.9s and coming down to a best of 6.4 and averaging 6.5, 6.6 in terms of 6.5, 6.5, 6.66 seconds? What does that mean to you, and how does that project out to the people that are scouting you?
It's kind of a game changer for me. A lot of the elite athletes, elite baseball players are running that 6.5, 6.6, 60, so it kind of just, it helps me out a lot. People look at you differently when you're running that speed, and when you're running a 6.9, 6.8, it's a lot easier for you to get just brushed off, but when you're actually running at that speed that they want you to, you kind of start turning heads.
There you have it, in terms of a very simplistic approach. What I train for, what I train the athletes for, is a couple of things. We train for speed, we train for quickness, we train for endurance, and then we train for maintenance. The maintenance level and the regimen to keep all of this moving for you is very simple and very easy to do. What you want to be remembering about all of this is that you can get to a point where you learn how to run properly, efficiently, and effectively, that you get speed, and that you are able to, under all circumstances, be able to maintain.